guys, thanks for stopping by my channel. If you're new here, welcome, and if you've watched my videos before, welcome back. I'm excited for everything we're going to accomplish together in 2024. My name is Tanya, and I make budget and organizing videos with little tips and tricks that I'm learning along the way. I really started this channel just to hold myself accountable in my own journey, but I really do hope it inspires you to either start or stick with your budget journey. So I upload videos 2 times a week on Tuesdays and Saturdays. And fingers crossed, one of my goals in 2024 is to film shorts 2 times a week on Mondays and Thursdays. So let's get into today's. I'm going to be talking about decluttering. I have my notes here. It is a lot of notes, but it is like, large print. Just because I didn't want to forget anything. So we're just going to jump right into it. I'm going to give you tips and tricks and things that I've learned in general about decluttering. And then at the very end, I will give you some tips about the bathroom. There's not going to be a whole lot of tips about the bathroom. Okay, I'll just tell you that straight up. But I'll give you what I have, okay? So I want to talk to you about the supplies you're going to need and the tips that I've learned just from my general decluttering. I am not an expert by any means, okay? This is just things that I have learned. And then like I said, this month we're going to be in the bathroom, so I will give you details about the bathroom. Every month it'll be different. I'll go over these tips and tricks and things every single month, but then at the end of the video, I will give you tips and tricks for the more specific area that we're actually in for that month, okay? So you're going to need 3 boxes, 1 trash bag, and a timer. Those are the supplies that you're going to need, okay? That's it. That's not a whole lot. I have learned through doing this that I want the 3 boxes to look very, very different, just because that's one less thing that my mind has to process or think about. I can know what box it is just by looking at it because it's different than all the other boxes, if that makes sense, okay? In next week's video, when I'm actually doing my very first declutter video for you guys, which, by the way, is out of my comfort zone because I will most likely be on camera. And that's one of the reasons I started this channel, is because all you see is my hands and I don't have to worry about you seeing me. So that's way out of my comfort zone. But again, full transparency, I want to help you guys any way I can. So I'm stepping out of my comfort zone to do that for you with this decluttering series. So please be kind. You guys always are, but still, but that's all you're going to need. So I'm going to go over each one with you. So box 1 is actually a bin for me. This is what I use. It's a large plastic bin that has no lid. Mine is gray, but that's just because that's what I had. There's no need to buy something else when we're trying to actually declutter what we already have. So I just looked around the house to see what I had, and that's what I have. Now this box is going to be for items that you want to keep and that are serving their purpose and that you are using, but they're simply in the wrong place. They're in the wrong room. So you might use it in the living room or in your washroom or wherever it is, but someone has carried it into the bathroom and placed it there, and that's where it has stayed. So you just pick that item up and put it in that box. Okay? You're going to use them. You're going to keep them. You know you want it. You know you use it. You know it's not anything you want to declutter, but it's in the wrong room. And the reason why we do this, I call it my transfer box, because you're going to put stuff in there that goes in other rooms, and then you're going to transfer it to that room later, okay? So that's my transfer box. Now, if you're like me, and like most people, honestly, you get sidetracked. So if you see something that doesn't belong in that room, you pick it up, you go put it in that room it belongs in. Well, while you're in that room that it belongs in, you see 3 other things in that room that doesn't belong in that room. So you think, well, while I'm in here, I might as well grab those 3 things and put those in the rooms they belong in. See what I'm saying? See where I'm going with that? And so on and so on and so on. And the next thing you know, you look up and it's been 2 hours and you still haven't got back to that very first original room you were trying to declutter. That's what happens to me. I mean, you know, I'm talking to the choir here. That's me right there. So that's why we have box number 1. It's going to help keep us focused in the room that we are in. Okay, but it's still going to give us a place to put the items that don't actually belong in that room. I hope that makes sense. So what I do is I will clean out that box at the end of my decluttering session. I will take that box and just go room to room to room to room, and I will put the items in each room where they go. Now, when I say where they go, I mean in the room they go in. I am not going to try to find the perfect spot for that item right then and there, because my house is a decluttered mess. I mean, is a cluttered mess, not a decluttered. It is a cluttered mess. So I am just going to put it in the general room it goes in. We will tackle that room at some point, and I'll be able to find a spot for that item. Unless you already know where that item goes and it's an automatic, then go, by all means, go ahead and just put it where it goes. But if you're like, yeah, I want it in this room, but I have no space for it and I don't know where I'm going to put it, just put it in that room in general. Okay, we'll worry about it later. But clean that box out at the end of each decluttering session. Okay? Now, box number 2. Okay, box number 2. Now for this box, I actually just like to use a plain cardboard box that I have laying around the house or that I can pick up somewhere. It's going to be for things that are still nice, that are still good, that are still usable, but you in particular are not using them, okay? Or anybody in your house is not using them. So this is going to be your giveaway box. That's why I like a plain old cardboard box, because I don't have to have a nice bin of mine and then I find something to transfer it into so I can take it to wherever I'm going to donate it. So I just start out in the plain box, so that way I don't have to handle the items twice, right? There's no need to handle things more than you have to handle them. So now this is very, very important with this box, okay? And I want you to hear me. Like, listen to me, please. Please listen to me, because this is a big one. Do not, I repeat, do not try to find the perfect person to give your items to, okay? If you try to do that for each and every item, I can guarantee you one thing, and that's it's going to sit around your house, and then you will have clutter in boxes after boxes after boxes after boxes sitting around your house, or let's be honest, in the back of your car, while you try to find that perfect person who could use that, okay? Now, you need to make a hard and fast rule. I mean, and you need to be brutal. You need to stick to it. If you want to give it to someone that you know, and you're like, oh, they could use that, you give them, you shoot them a message or a text or whatever. Hey, I have this. Show them a picture. Say, do you want it? If they say yes, say, okay, what time, what day is good for you to either, 1, me drop it off if I'm going to be in the area, or 2, you come and get it. And if they say, oh, 3 weeks from Thursday, yeah, no, that's not going to work for me. Like, what day this week can you come and get it, or I can drop it off? And when they let you know, you say, okay, so if it's not picked up, then I'm going to go ahead and donate it. Like, that's just the hard and fast rule. I give myself, if it's someone specifically, I'll give them a week. for us to figure out a plan on how to get together and get it to them. Now, I personally immediately take this box out to my car and put it in the back of my car because number one, I just don't want it in my house anymore. Like, I've dealt with this enough. I want to go ahead and get it in my vehicle, right? So I put it in the back of my car. Now, if that box is not full or I don't have a specific person in mind for it, which 99% of the time I don't, I just get rid of the stuff. But if it's not full, I'll wait until my next decluttering session if I know I'm going to do it within a week or so, just to see if I can fill that box up. I give myself, my hard and fast rule is 2 weeks. It can sit in the back of my car, but by the end of 2 weeks, it is going to Goodwill, whether that box is full or not, or whatever donation center I decide to take it to, depending on what it is, okay? So it's going to be donated no matter what within 2 weeks. That's just my personal hard rule, just because, like I said, if the box isn't full, it gives me time to fill that box up, and it gives me time if there is somebody that I like, oh, they were looking for this a week ago and I have one and I'm getting rid of. So that is my rules for box number 2. Now, box number 3, if you think box number 2 was hard, box number 3 is a very hard box, and you can go down a very slippery slope very fast, okay? So please, 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 please use it carefully. Do not cop out and use this box all the time, okay? This box, now for me, I like to use a clear plastic bin with a lid, okay? That's what I like to use. I call this my pause box. This is for either something sentimental that you have come across that you're not ready to deal with yet. You're not emotionally ready to deal with that item yet. And it kind of paralyzes you. And you're like, what do? I don't know what to do. You put it in that pause box, okay? Have like great Aunt Susie's Christmas platter and you don't really want it, but yet it's in the family and everyone expects you to keep it. Like, it gives you anxiety. Put it in the pause box, okay? It can just be really anything, but if you need to take a few days to think about it and think about what the best option is, put it in your pause box. If you know you don't use Aunt Susie's Christmas or Great Aunt Susie's Christmas platter and you don't want it, but you know the family is going to guilt you into trying to keep it, reach out to them and say, hey, I have Great Aunt Susie's Christmas platter and I'm not using it. I don't need it. Does anybody want it before I get rid of it? I just wanted to reach out to everybody, see if anybody has any interest in it whatsoever. Put it in your pause box, okay? Until if anybody decides they want it or if they say no, get rid of it, then, you can do your thing. It can also be used for overflow, okay? And by that, you might have Christmas dishes that, oh, I might use those next year. I bought them 3 years ago and I've never used them, but they were so cute and I might just use them this year. Put them in your pause box, okay? See if you use them. If not, then it's okay. I have used this box for my overflow when I was paring down my towels and my bed sheets. I left what I thought was enough in my linen closet, and then I put the rest in my pause box because I didn't want to get rid of them if I still needed them, right? I mean, that's just like, I don't want to spend more money. Yeah, I could have went and bought more, but they were perfectly fine. I didn't want to spend more money if I didn't have to. So I put them in my pause box. So that way, if I needed them, I knew they were in my pause box and I could just go get them. If you find yourself trying to pare something down and you put it in your pause box and you find yourself constantly going to that pause box to get whatever it is you're paring down, then you probably pared it down too much and you probably need a few more, okay? So the goal of this box is to help you not get stuck and paralyzed when you're trying to make decisions in that room. Okay? But again, I want to warn you to use this box sparingly. I don't want you to have this box and 10 others, pause boxes, either in your garage or a whole closet stuffed full, just because you're scared to make a decision about things. You need to be brutally honest with yourself. But this is just an out in case it's something sentimental that paralyzes you, or in case you think you might have pared down something too much, okay? So what I do is I clean out this box every 3 to 6 months, because that'll give you time to either, number one, know if you're going to need more of that item, or to give you time to deal with the sentimental things. Sometimes sentimental things are hard. So the more momentum you get going in decluttering, the easier the decisions will be. So again, there's no shame in putting it in your pause box. I do go through it every 3 months. Sometimes some of that stuff gets left in there for another 3 months because I'm just not able or willing to deal with it. And sometimes I'm able to clean it out completely. Okay, so I have a limit on my pause boxes. I have 3 of those plastic bin totes with the lids. They're the exact same, and I have 3 of them. And the only reason why I have 3 is because some of the items are big and bulky. Like if I have a stack of towels, it might take up one whole pause box. And then I also had some sheets. So I allow myself 3 pause boxes at the max, and rarely do I have all 3 of those boxes full, but that just gives me a little overflow in case something is bulky. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So now we have the trash bags. The trash bag is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, it's simple. It's for all the trash that we come across that it's either stuff we're holding on to that is broke or no good or has holes in it, or simply trash that gets shoved in drawers and things. So just use that trash bag, take it out at the end of each session, or put it in your bigger trash bag, whatever it is. But, just take care of that at the end of each session. So finally, you're going to need a timer. Now, if you don't have one, do not go buy one. Okay. Most microwaves, most stoves have a timer setting. And if not, every cell phone has a timer. You just have to go into your settings and find it. But yeah, you always have a timer, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to set the timer for between 5 and 15 minutes, depending on what you think you're capable of doing, okay? 5 to 15 minutes. It adds up. 5 to 15 minutes of decluttering will add up. You think 5 minutes is nothing. Exactly. 5 minutes is nothing, but you can do it, and you will see improvements in your house over time, okay? This is not a sprint, so we're not going to go all in. This is a marathon, so we're going to do slow and steady. Slow and steady wins the race, right? We're just going to do small little increments. So because we're only going to do 5 to 15 minutes, we are not going to go into a room and pull everything out of every nook and cranny. Okay, hear me on this one. This is a big one, okay? If you do that, this is what's going to happen. I'm just going to tell you from experience. This is what's going to happen. You're going to pull everything out of every drawer, every cabinet, every nook and cranny. And you're going to spend all that time and energy pulling everything out. You're going to have a massive pile of stuff, of things in the middle of the floor, right? When you look at that, you are going to feel overwhelmed. Your motivation will start to wane. You'll start to falter a little bit. You might go through a handful of things, and then your 5 to 15 minute timer is going to go off. And you're going to feel like a failure because you have done your time and it's a bigger mess than what it was when you started. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So you spend the next 3 hours, because you've already got all this stuff now out in the middle of the floor, right? So you're going to spend the next 3 hours going through every single thing and putting everything back that you want to keep. And you're going to do it, and you're going to get it done, and it's going to be great. But for the next 3 months, 4 months, 10 days, whatever it is, you're going to have no motivation to do anything else. And it's because on day one, you treated it like a sprint and not a marathon. So you sprinted out, you did great, you won your race, but now that's it. You have no more energy because you've already used it all. So again, slow and steady is what we want. We can do anything for 5 to 15 minutes. We can do hard things. We can do things for 5 to 15 minutes. We can do this. What I want you to do is set your timer and go to one shelf or one drawer or one cabinet or whatever it is and do one shelf. That's it. Just do one shelf. If you get that done and you're feeling good and you still have time left on your timer, go to the next shelf. Go to the next drawer. Go to the next cabinet, whatever it is, okay? You're going to do one thing at a time. So you're not pulling all this stuff out and being overwhelmed. One little step at a time, okay? If your timer goes off and you're feeling good and you're feeling great and you're feeling motivated and, oh, I just want to get this one last cabinet done, or I just want to get this one last drawer done, or whatever it is, by all means, go ahead and set your timer again for your 5 to 15 minutes, whatever it is you're doing. And do it round 2. That is perfectly fine. But that's it. After that second timer goes off, that's it for the day. You're done. I don't want you to get overwhelmed. I don't want you to get burnt out, okay? So you've earned yourself a nice break after the end of the second timer. If you choose to do a second timer, you don't have to. You can do this 5 to 15 minutes once a day, once a week, once a month, whatever you can muster up to do. There is no fast and hard rules about this, okay? You do what you're motivated to do. Now, I will say this is not for deep cleaning, okay? So I want you to move quickly and make quick decisions about what you're going to throw away, what you're going to give away, what you're going to keep, okay? If you want to wipe out a drawer when it's empty, when you get done with it, that's fine. If you want to wipe out a shelf, that's fine. But this is not for deep cleaning. So we are not going to wipe down the walls. We're not going to wipe down the baseboards. We're not going to sweep and mop. We are just decluttering here, okay? I think a lot of times people start to declutter and then they get motivated and they're happy. So then they start deep cleaning, and the next thing you know, they're wanting to, remodel or do this or that, and it's overwhelming. Just keep it simple. Decluttering is what we are interested in, okay? Again, you can do a quick wipe out, that's fine, but don't get stuck into decluttering the whole room and then deep cleaning the whole room all in the same time, okay? Those are two different things. Right now, we just want to declutter so that we can live a more stress-free life, okay? So, I have a few final thoughts. I want you to only declutter your things. Do not declutter your spouse's items. That will just cause more trouble than what it's worth, okay? Don't do it without their permission. If you're like, hey, can I get rid of this? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. But don't just do it like sneakily, underhandedly, without them knowing. Even your kiddos, get them involved as much as possible. It might slow you down, especially when we get to like the kids' items. I'll get into more detail about. But let them be part of the process, because if it's a child, number one, they need to learn now while they're young that it's okay not to have a bunch of things, right? I wish I would have known that when I was growing up. And number two, it helps set them up for good habits later in life that they probably won't even realize that you have instilled in them. Okay? I don't bother any of my husband's items. Once in a while, I'll just pull out, one shelf of his closet or his drawer. and I'll be like, hey, can you go through this with me? Your drawer's over full, it's overflowing, and I just need to know what you want and what you don't want. And I'll usually just hold the item up and he'll say keep or get rid of. So it's that simple. So I always have him go through his stuff with me. Now, I'm not talking about silly things like, okay, his body wash is empty in the shower, so I go ahead and throw it away and then I replace it. Like, that's totally different, right? I'm not like decluttering his things. It's just that's trash and it needs to be restocked. Okay, so I'm talking about clothes, books, collections, any kind of that thing that they might have. Do not get rid of it without them. Okay, they need to be part of the process. Also, we need to take a hard look at ourselves while we're on this journey. There is an ideal fairy tale, unrealistic version of you that you have in your head. Let's get honest. Like, you have to be real with yourself, okay? You know, the one that has you cooking or baking every meal from scratch. The one that, you know, you picture yourself in surroundings that look like it's in the magazines or the movies, or you know, the one where you're making homemade crafts for every single person that are just perfect for them for Christmas, you know, that kind of thing. And then there is the true, authentic, real self. And you need to take a hard look and be honest with yourself on what is the fairy tale version of yourself and what is the real version of yourself, okay? Because in reality, you might be the one that buys already baked goods from the store, or picks up dinner 4 out of 5, 7 nights of the week, you know, that actually lives in a very old trailer. Hello. Talking to myself here. That needs some home improvements. And you never put out those seasonal decorations or the billion throw pillows that you have, because you want them to be tucked away and nice when you do decide to use them. Or the one that has a room full of craft supplies and you don't even know what's in there because it's 6 months or a year and you haven't been in that room. You just keep adding stuff to it for your next project, right? But yet you're not using. There's absolutely nothing wrong with any of those versions of myself that I just listed, right? It's okay if I want to bake everything from scratch. It's okay if I want to make homemade things for Christmas. It's okay if I end up just buying baked goods from the grocery store. And it's okay if I'm not a crafter, even though I want to be, right? Every single scenario I listed is okay. But we just need to be honest with ourselves to which is the fairy tale version of ourselves and the real version of ourselves, because usually those two are vastly different. Okay? So just be honest with yourself. There's no need to hang on to things for a fake version of ourselves that we're never going to use those items, because it's just not who we are. Okay? We need to let that stuff go. We need to let that version of ourselves go, and we need to let the stuff go that goes with it. Okay? And you're going to feel better. You're going to feel so much better, because you won't be holding on to that guilt of, I want to be this way, but I'm not. But I need to hold on to this stuff just in case I get my act together and end up becoming this version of myself that I want to be. You know, it's okay. Get rid of the guilt. Get rid of this stuff. And your house is going to look better. It's going to feel better because it's not cluttered up with all that stuff. Right? So it'll be huge for your mental state alone to figure out which version of yourself is your real, authentic self. Okay? That's going to make such a huge difference for you. And you'll have more time and more energy to do the things you actually enjoy doing. So there is really no downside to decluttering here. We just got to figure out, you know, what version of ourselves is real. So you need to ask yourself 3 things when you're decluttering. Is it easy to be replaced? Is it easy replaceable? How do I want to say that? Is it replaceable, I guess, is a good way to say it. So if I get rid of it and I decide later on that I actually miss it or I used it more than I thought I did, can I easily get another one? Okay. Number 2, does it bring me happiness? Is it something I enjoy doing? Is it something I smile when I use or when I look at it? Does it make my life easier? And number 3, have I used it in the last 6 months? Chances are, if you haven't used it then, you won't. If you haven't used it in the last 6 months, chances are you're not going to use it. The only exception might be holiday items. But again, you need to be brutally honest with yourself when you're going over these 3 questions, okay? Don't just answer the right way so that you can keep it if you're not going to use it. So there's no hard or fast rules, no right or wrong answers for when you're decluttering. So what works great for me might not work for you. For example, this is just one example that I thought of off the top of my head. I live in West Virginia. We definitely have huge season changes here, okay? You might live in Florida. You might use a pool year round. I don't in West Virginia. So it won't make sense for me to have as many towels as you do in Florida because you're going to use more towels in Florida because you're going to be in the pool more. Does that make sense? Or you might have more kids. Like right now, it's just me and my husband. And then you might have your husband, and 6 kids. So, you know, you have to, that's why there's no hard, fast rule on how many towels to keep or how many sets of sheets to keep or how many dishes to keep, anything like that, because everybody's life is different, right? So you might need more dishes than we do. You might need more towels than we do. You know, seasons change. Seasons change. And that's okay. There was a time when I was a stay-at-home wife and mother. So I did most of our cooking and baking, and I enjoyed that. I enjoyed it. Now our daughter is grown and married, and she's out of the house, and I went back to work. Now, that kind of stresses me out to bake and cook because I'm working 40 hours a week outside of the home, which I have never done before. I've always, you know, my job has always been the home. Always been in the home. So, and both of them are okay. I'm not shaming one or the other. Both of them are okay. I enjoyed my time when I was home, and I enjoyed baking and cooking from scratch. I enjoyed that. This season in my life now, not so much, it stresses me out. So, again, that's where, number 1, you need to be brutally honest and know that seasons change and know your real self and your fairy tale self. Because I was able to get rid of all of the gadgets that I had to make my cooking and baking easier. Because I know I'm not going to be doing that as much now. Okay? So things change. Life changes. Different seasons come along, and that's okay. Well, that's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching my content. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the like button. Feel free to comment and share on my videos. Thanks, guys, and until next time, stay safe and have a great day.